Hello. I'm just going to go over some of the things, some of the badges that are available with AWS Educate, and then I'm going to focus on the Alexa badge for this little video here. So when you sign up for AWS Educate, there's a lot of things that kind of help make learning fun and keep you engaged. And one of those things is badges. So there's a variety of different badges. Some I've played with, some I haven't. I've already received this badge for the Deep Racer. But there you can see there's Deeplands, RoboMaker, Sumerian, Gaming, Startup, IoT, Datapalooza, and American Heart Association. But the one we're going to be focusing on for this video is the Alexa badge. So I'm going to click Earn Your Badge. Now this is after you sign up for AWS Educate. So you have to go through that process first. If you have any questions on that, let me know and I'll be happy to help. So this is I guess it's called the dashboard, the landing page for the Alexa badge, to start on the Alexa badge. So this is the overview. Welcome to the Alexa badge learning pathway. So you can hear directly from professionals in the field, complete labs, and review reference materials to learn more about Alexa and how you can start to make your own skills. So as you go through the pathway, you'll be introduced to necessary prereqs so that you should be able to be successful with Alexa, as well as knowledge and activities for creating an Alexa skill. So here's the video. It's a couple minutes long. I'm going to go ahead and let it play.
We're now interacting with technology in the most natural way possible, by talking. People talk to their Amazon Echo every day, and while it's been loved since the first conversation, what people really love is Alexa. More than the voice of Echo, she's the brain behind millions of Alexa-enabled devices, understanding and replying to questions in seconds. And while she's great at her updates and playing music, that's just the beginning. Alexa has infinite abilities. We call these skills. Developers have already created thousands of Alexa skills, and the selection is growing every day. Developers are making Alexa smarter with every skill they create, helping you plan dinner, or ordering it for you, powering your smart home, or getting you out of the house. Our services make it easy for brands, marketers, makers, and developers to create experiences for Alexa-enabled devices with the Alexa Skills Kit and bring voice to their own devices with Alexa Voice Service. At Amazon, we're committed to voice technology. In addition to Ask and AWS, we have the Alexa Fund, a $100 million investment in voice technology innovation. We've started with Alexa in the Amazon Echo, Echo Dot, Amazon Tap, and Amazon Fire TV. Where she goes next and what she'll say is up to you. The only question is, what will you create?
Okay. So you heard I don't know if you heard, but you heard them mention skills. I'm going to talk about it right here. What is a skill? Basically, the way I would make it the simplest comparison, it's like, you have apps on your phone. Okay. Skill, you have apps for phone. Skills are for Alexa. Okay. It's called voice user interface and the VUI. And a skill is just for the voice user interface, is for those voice technologies, as an app is for your mobile device. Okay. So a skill is more or less an app for voice technology. Let's see. So the topics is prerequisite knowledge, such as S3 and Lambda. Use cases, what can you do with Alexa? There's the Ask, which is Alexa Skills Kit, talking about what is a skill, learn, design, build, and resources. There's knowledge checks, which includes lab exercises and projects. So the audience is the badge is aimed at individuals interested in the Alexa technology with little to no working knowledge of Alexa or AWS. I have a cloud practitioner. I'm a certified cloud practitioner with AWS, so I have some basic knowledge of AWS. Slowly gaining more knowledge in regards to Alexa. I know the basics of it, but I still have to refer to documentation a lot, which is fine. The duration for this is about 10 to 15 hours. It depends on your study habits and whatnot, and your skill set prior to coming in. Let's see. Now, this says that the Alexa developer website and tools can be accessed by students globally. but there are some certain limitations of countries where skills can be published. So just be aware of that. If you're not in the United States, there may be some limitations. So let's go ahead and hit here to continue. Excuse me, I've been sick. So the introduction. So Alexa is Amazon's cloud-based voice server available on tens of millions of devices from Amazon and third-party device manufacturers. With Alexa, you can build natural voice experience that offer customers a more intuitive way to interact with technology they use every day. Our collection of tools, APIs, reference solutions, and documentation make it easy for anyone to build with Alexa. So this video, let's go ahead and watch this.
Meet Amazon Alexa, now available on a growing number of connected devices. With Alexa, you can use your voice to get more done in a day. It's always getting smarter, adding new capabilities that are automatically delivered to your devices. So, no matter how familiar you are with Alexa, there are always new features to learn. How many have you explored? There are the well-known things, like weather updates, flash news briefings, timers, and reminders. But have you asked Alexa to read your book, to plan your day, to control your smart home? You can ask Alexa to look up nearby movie showtimes, and even restock your pantry. Alexa can help with all of it, and more. Find other things to try with Alexa today at amazon.com/meetalexa.
Okay. So start building for voice today by adding new capabilities to Alexa called skills. So this pathway has 4 learning modules, and they are the prerequisite knowledge for S3 and Lambda, the use cases, skills kit, and resources. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. So then we have our learning objectives for this pathway. So we're going to successfully set up an S3 bucket, set up a Lambda function, identify one or more cases on how to use Alexa skill, understand the skills kit, identify what skills to build, properly design for voice using checklists and best practices, build and test a skill using provided tutorials, and launch, promote, and measure success of a certified skill. So module 1 is the prerequisite knowledge of S3. So there are some fundamental prerequisite knowledge that you will need before you can dig into skill building. Work through the videos and exercises in this module to ensure that you have a good foundation of the requisite tech knowledge before moving on. So S3 is basically just a file storage system or an object storage for the internet. So S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, which is basically storage for the internet. You can use S3 to store and retrieve any amount of data at any time from anywhere on the web. You can accomplish these tasks using the AWS Management Console, which is the interface that you go to whenever you use anything on AWS. The following figure shows you the workflow. So you sign up for S3, you create a bucket, add an object to a bucket, view an object, move an object, and delete an object and bucket. So some of the new terminology that you're kind of thrown in here is the concept of a bucket. Think of a bucket. So a bucket equals file folder. Okay. And a bucket, yeah, let's just leave it at that. Bucket equals file folder. Okay, so I'm going to open up my file explorer here on my computer. So you see how you have these little folders in here? Like I open up documents, it has some documents in here. If it opens. Okay, and you have folders, right? Okay, that's pretty similar to what a bucket is. Just think of it as a folder. They call it buckets, just to be different, I suppose. But a bucket is a file folder. And you can put files in a file folder. Okay, so you have a bucket and then you have objects within that bucket. Okay. So an object, let's see, equals files. The biggest difference between the concept of a file folder structure, or like a file explorer on your computer. And S3 is like on this, you can have folders inside folders until you get to a file, right? On S3, you can't really nest buckets inside of buckets. You can have buckets and you can have files or objects in them, but you cannot have buckets inside of buckets. So that's probably the biggest difference that I'm aware of. Oh, and the other bigger difference is the fact that, let's go ahead and put this on here as well. Okay, can't nest buckets inside of buckets like you can with file folders inside of file folders. And the other bigger difference is, like, you know, depending on your computer and how much RAM you have in there, memory and all that stuff, there's a limit of how much you can download, right? You know, you have a capacity, like if you run out of room. Okay, so with S3, can upload objects of any size. There's no max. And on a computer, there is only so much room to use for files, folders. Okay, so that's probably the biggest differences that in my opinion. Okay, minimize that. Let's get started. So let's watch this video and then we'll do the walkthrough on how to create a storage bucket. So let's see. Let's watch this video first.
Finding a way to store, distribute, and manage all your data is a big challenge. Running applications, delivering content to users, hosting high-traffic websites, or backing up documents, databases, and email all require a lot of storage, and the need for more storage space keeps growing every day. Building and maintaining your own storage repository is expensive and time-consuming. First, you have to buy racks and racks of dedicated hardware and software. Then, to get it all up and running, you have to hire staff and set up complex processes to make sure your storage is performing well and backed up in case something fails. Adding more capacity costs money and time to deploy more servers, hard drives, and tape backup machines. And guessing how much capacity you need in the future is difficult. Getting this wrong means either not having the storage you need, or you overspend and end up with excess capacity that sits idle. What if there was a better way? Amazon Simple Storage Service, or Amazon S3, provides developers and IT teams with safe, secure object storage. It's easy to use, with a simple web services interface that can be used to store and retrieve any amount of data at any time from Amazon EC2 or from anywhere on the web. You just choose the region where you want your data stored, create a bucket, and you can begin storing data in S3. And with Amazon S3, you won't need a crystal ball to predict how much storage you're going to need in the future. You can store as much data as you want and access it when you need it. When it comes to storage, the last thing you want to worry about is losing valuable data. Amazon S3 helps make sure that doesn't happen by automatically making copies of your objects on multiple devices across multiple facilities. Amazon S3 also lets you preserve, retrieve, and restore every version of every object in an Amazon S3 bucket, so you can easily recover if something is accidentally deleted by users or application failures. With Amazon S3, you only pay for the storage you actually use. There's no minimum fee and no setup cost. And for data that you don't need very often, Amazon S3 helps reduce cost with configurable lifecycle policies that automatically archive Amazon S3 objects to Amazon Glacier, a low-cost storage archive service. We know that making sure your data is secure from unauthorized users is very important. And Amazon S3 gives you flexibility to control who can access your data with identity and access management policies, access control lists, bucket policies, and query string authentication. S3 also helps you securely upload and download your data with SSL encrypted endpoints and provides multiple options for encrypting data at rest. Amazon S3 helps you get the most out of your data by making sure it's stored safely, available when needed, and will scale as your needs grow. Getting started with Amazon S3 is simple. Sign up for an AWS account today, and you can create your first bucket in a few clicks.
Okay, so some of the things that they mentioned was talking about scalability. So the beginning of the video talked about trying to figure how much room you need and, the maintenance of it and, the upkeep, purchasing the equipment, and all those things that kind of go involved if you're doing something in-house. The beauty of using something like AWS is the fact that you can put all that headaches and hassles and the upfront cost over onto AWS. And when it comes to scalability, if you don't need the resources, you're not charged for it. One of my favorite examples that I've learned about of companies using AWS is Lyft, the rideshare service. So from it took them about the guys who started it about 3 weeks to write the code to create the Lyft, right? And after they wrote it, they just put it all on AWS. They deployed it, they uploaded the code on AWS, and AWS took care of all that stuff in the back end. So they didn't have the capital expenses, invested into something that may work, may didn't, may not have. So, they didn't have that upfront capital cost, which kind of prevents some startup ideas from happening because they just don't have the money to, or are afraid of investing the money in something that's an unknown. So they just deployed everything in AWS and, it's a success. So that's great. But one of the examples that they use is like, compare the use of their service between like Friday night and Sunday morning. It's probably more requests on Friday night than it is on Sunday morning, right? And so whenever their requests are going up on Friday night, for example, they have the capacity to scale up. They already got the servers with AWS in place. So as the demand for their services goes up, that means that the computing power that they have with AWS is going up as well, and then they're being charged, for that. But it's scaling up based on the need, and as opposed to Sunday morning when they're just not needed that much. They don't have that excess equipment that's just doing nothing. So whenever their need is going down on Sunday morning, for example, they scale down and they're not charged for all this extra capacity that they need for the higher call times, so to speak. So that's the scalability that they were talking about in S3 or in AWS altogether. But S3 is just one of the components of AWS. So let's see where this takes me here. I think it's the same video. Looks like,
Finding a way to store, distribute, and manage all.
And then this is the lab. And this I kind of realized just recently, yesterday to be in fact. Okay, so let's see, we'll go ahead and sign in. If I can remember. Okay, so once I signed in, it says the introduction to AWS Simple Storage S3 is currently unavailable. One of the things that is frustrating about anything in tech, it's not just AWS, I've had the same problem with some other stuff. The instructions don't always match. The instructions and the documentation, so to speak, don't always match to what the actual console or the application and the way it's actually working now. So when I click on that link, in theory, it should take me to whatever the lab is. The theory is not correct. What you have to do is, so I exit that, you go to catalog. Excuse me, sorry. So it's Introduction to S3. If I do a search to S3, there it is. So then you can play on it. Okay. So I'll make a different video going over this. I kind of want to keep these videos bite-sized, so to speak. But so if you get to this point on module 1, I think module 2 is next. Yeah, module 1.2. Okay, the next module is talking about Lambda. But let's just focus on this. S3, if you get to this point and you get to introduction to S3 and you came up with that red bar, it's like, crap, I don't know what to do next. Now you do. What you got to do is just go to, let me show you how I did it again. I went to catalog and then introduction to S3, which was basically what this title was. You could have probably done it from here as well. Yeah, okay, and then it works. QwikLabs is free. But this is I've used QwikLabs for Google, like you on the other side, you might have noticed some GCP stuff, Google Cloud Practitioner stuff. But anyways, so that's how you can actually find the lab and get started on that. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you, and I apologize for the sickness.